Good evening and welcome to the Principality of Monaco on the French Riviera coast for the 10th leg of the Samsung Diamond League. Monte Carlo, of course, is well known for being the home of the rich and the famous, but tonight it welcomes the glitterati from the world of track and field. Casino, as ever, has been doing its usual trade, but which way will the dice roll tonight in the quest for Diamond League points? We're here in the Stade Louis II Stadium, a wonderful venue. A new track's been laid and it's provided some fantastic performances over the years, and the athletes very much know that. Right now, in the middle of the season, many of them in their top form. Tyson Gay will be going in the 200 tonight. We've got Bernard Lagat against Augustine Chogi in a loaded 1500 meters. Kaki goes in the 800 as well. Veronica Campbell-Brown against Carmelita Jetta. And David Oliver in the 110 meter hurdles, the man who's been getting close to the world record. Can he break it tonight? Conditions absolutely superb. 28 degrees centigrade, humidity about 80% or so. Typical Monaco conditions. And the Diamond League is getting towards a point now where one or two are beginning to think they've got enough points to secure their own particular race in their event. Of course, just 4 more Diamond League events after this one. We'll be heading to London. We've got Stockholm, London, Zurich and Brussels. And it's a welcome, very, very warm welcome to Tim Hutchings for our first race of the evening, the women's 400 meter hurdles. Tim.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, and what a race to kick off your program with. Lashinda Demas, she goes in lane 4, does the American. Set a personal best here last year, and it makes her the 4th fastest athlete in history. That's a strong lineup, but I can tell you that she leads the world rankings by almost 3/4 of a second, the American. That's a perfect lane draw too. Conditions absolutely glorious. Slight breeze across the stadium. Dominique Darden of the USA goes in lane 1. For a 54-second performer, frankly, she's not in particularly good form. 57.5 seconds a week or so ago. That was in Liège. In lane 2, Sheena Toster, the Olympic silver medalist in Beijing, another American, and another one in relatively poor form, it has to be said. Let's forget that the Americans don't have a major championship this year. She's almost 3 seconds off her personal best in her last race. Khalija Spencer of Jamaica goes in lane 3, the 4th placer at the World Championships last year. In very good form, ran a personal best in Rome a month or so ago. There is Demas. Now, some people whispering a possibility of a world record here tonight. She's about 1/3 of a second away from it. In fact, 0.29 of a second away from it. There's Joke Odemusu of Nigeria. Only a youngster, but set a season's best 2 weeks ago, so coming into good form and very close to her personal best in that race too. Natalia Anchuk goes in lane 6. Big, powerful Russian. She won the European Team Championship title 3 weeks ago and the Russian Championships in her last race. Yozan Lucas of Trinidad goes in lane 7. Not in great form either, not under 55 seconds since Rome back in early June. The lineup completed. In lane 8, it's another Russian, Yevgenia Isakova. Not in great form either. I have to say, she hasn't broken 55.5 since the national championships where she was 2nd. The attention has to be in this one on Lashinda Demas. I hesitate to say it, but it's most likely to be her up against the clock. The meeting record she set last year, 52.63. It makes her the 4th fastest athlete in history. She goes in lane 4, and she's relatively fresh. She's only had 4 races so far this year. She comes into this one, I suspect, very hungry for a quick time. She hasn't raced since Eugene 3 weeks ago. Well, away they go. Demas in lane 4, remember, she ran a very good flat 400 meters in Oslo about 6 or 8 weeks ago. She showed there that she's a very aggressive runner, went out tremendously hard and got run down by a couple of specialist 400 meter runners on the flat, but she's already got a big lead here. There she is in the purple centre of picture, hurdling well before the rest of them. Going quite well outside her is Odemosu of Nigeria, and also inside her in lane 3 is Khalija Spencer of Jamaica, who's having a fairly strong run here. But look at Demas here around the top of the bend there, 150 metres to go, pumping hard with the arms. Now it's her against the clock, surely, if she can stay clear of these barriers. She really needs some competition here. In 2nd place at the moment, Spencer in lane 3. Also going well in lane 2 is Sheena Toster. But Demas, now this is where she really needs to work hard. Oh no, dreadful there at the final barrier. And what a turn up this is, what a way to open the evening. Spencer comes through to take it. Demas there stumbles across the line, maybe in even 4th place. Anchuk came through for 2nd in lane 6. And I think over in lane 2, it might have been Tosta who came past Dimas, who really looked out of sorts though. It all went wrong in the last 50 or 60 metres. She hadn't gone out so ridiculously quickly. That's the surprising thing. Now, I do wonder whether or not, having not raced since Eugene, she's put in 2 or 3 weeks very hard training, and that fatigue is still in her legs, and she's not as fresh as she might have liked. But let's not take away anything from Khaleesi Spencer there. 53.63 for the Jamaican in lane 3. Very nearly a personal best, and she's taken a huge scalp there in the form of Lashinda Dimas in the lane outside her.
Well, Tim, Dimas maybe, I think, paying for a bit of the hype. She really attacked the first 200 metres, and then coming down there, strike pattern all wrong. The fatigue's there, and then she loses it, and then to be fair, she just gives up in the last 10-15 metres and loses a couple of places. But yes, you've got to hand it to Spencer. She's been in good form by contrast, and has pushed a couple of times, has pushed Dimas. In Eugene was maybe half a second down, but you see at this point normally you'd be expecting Dimas to push on, and she's so strong normally in the last 50 metres and over the last hurdle, but here you can see stutters almost to a standstill. But I think she was tired coming into that. She didn't look good coming off the top bend. Arms were all over the place a little. Gives up now, knows she's lost the race, and ends up losing, as I said, another couple of places. In fact, she's going to be 4th when we get the official results up in a minute or two.
Well, that's a big disappointment for Dimas and for the crowd as well. Back to this pole vault at the bar at 4 metres 60. Well, some 4 athletes over this so far. Pachnikova, second time failure at 460. This will sort them out, frankly. Let me see several athletes passing. Fiafanova and Moore are the favourites. Confirmation of the win there for Spencer, 53.63. Anchuk, the Russian, second. Tosta, third. Dimas, the pre-race favourite, down in 4th, although clearly she did give up early, but big surprise there.
Well, some of the field events, as Tim was saying, already underway. One of them is the women's triple jump. And we've been blessed really with a couple of great competitions in the Diamond League. Remember New York, the men's competition. Teddy Tamgo, news of him incidentally, of course, European Championships coming up, that he's apparently fit and healthy, will be there to compete. He hasn't been jumping much, but his injury is improving quickly, we're told. Although Christian Olsen, we were told this afternoon, will not be there. He is injured, so in the men's triple jump in Barcelona, no Christian Olsen, which is a real shame. Now in the women's event though, this lady there, well, we were going to see Savine. Let's break off for the pole vault.
We will indeed, yes, back to this pole vault. Of course, Spiegelberg going at 460, second attempt, she goes clear and elevates herself from last place up to 4th place. Just Spiegelberg had a slight hiccup, as you could see, at 440. The next height will be 470, we'll move up in 10 centimetre increments to that height, and then 475 after that. Fiafanova cleared this height first time, so did Mura, and so did Janssen. Those are the first 3 at the moment. Well, Spiegelberg, European silver medalist last year, European indoor silver medalist last year, the young German. Recently won the German national championships in 465, and good consistency beginning to drop in now, and that's just what you want with those European championships. What, 4 days away? They begin on Tuesday in Barcelona. Now, Anna Rogowska, the pole, one of the most consistent pole vaulters around at the moment. Arguably, frankly, after winning the World Championships last year with another of Isinbayeva's very, very surprising failures in Berlin, she is the most consistent vaulter. You look at her consistency over the last 4 or 5 years. The Olympic bronze medalist back in 2004 was the pole. Now 29 years old, very experienced, quite small though. Very, very fast, very powerful, great technician. Put the curse on her, didn't I? That was Rogowska's first attempt at 460, and just looking at her card, she only cleared 450 at the 3rd attempt, so 1 attempt left at this height, and she's in a bit of trouble as the world champion.
Right, now we do get the chance to see Jagela Savine, and you can see there, this is now in the 5th round, but in the 2nd round, the first athlete to go over 15 metres this year, 15.09, she's in great form. led the world rankings coming in here anyway at 14.99, but absolutely delighted in that second round to go out to 15.09. That one there you can see a little shorter, but she's in superb form, undoubtedly the world's #1 at the moment, and dominating the race for Diamond League points as well. She's waited a long time there. It's really busy out in the field this evening. And 14.91. You can see there, 15.09 in the second round. Longest in the world this year. World champion in superb form. Looks as though that one's pretty much sewn up for her.
Well, back in the vault, Julian Schwartz. Third attempt at 460 now, under pressure. She wasn't even close, was she? No. 450 in the first attempt, so that's disappointing for Schwartz. Competing for Israel. Plenty of experience too. She's a 472 vaulter at her best, although that height 460, to be fair, is equal to her season's best.
Well, the women's shot put, Valerie Villi really needs to find some sort of form, and you can see she started the competition superbly well. They're putting right on the top and near the 100-meter start, and this was in the very first round. We saw the result 2020, so she leads. Ostap, who's been in the best of form most recently, beating the Olympic champion, world champion, Villi. Delighted to at least got a competition off a good start tonight. So she leads 2020 in the pole vault. Back to the, sorry, she leads in the shot put. Back to the pole vault, obviously.
So Tachnikova of the Czech Republic. Third and final attempt for her at 4.60 meters. This really is sorting them out. We've already lost Julian Schwartz of Israel. Needs this one. Oh, good ball. Beautiful ball. She's already cleared a personal best this year of 4.66, so she's operating at very close to her limit. But that's nice. That 4.66 came in her last competition in the national championships in Krinek. She stays in the fight. She's the, sixth athlete to go clear at 4.60. As I mentioned, Fiafanova, Mura and Janssen, Lacey Janssen of the USA, all clear first time at this height. That was perfect. High point right above the bar there. So often you see athletes who have more than enough height, but they don't keep that forward momentum going. They come down on top of the bar, or they're going up through the bar. It's so important to get that high point right. Such a dynamic, demanding event. That's a lovely clearance. Well done. Well, back to the world champion who finds herself in a spot of bother, Anna Rogowska. She's a 4.83 vaulter, is Rogowska, although only 4.71 this year. Last few competitions, frankly, she hasn't really set the world alight. 4.58 in Eugene, 4.45 4 days ago. That's better too. Well, when the pressure's on, it's the real mark of an athlete if they can respond positively, channel that pressure, which is in itself so sapping, but channel that pressure, make it work positively for you. So she can start afresh. World champion still in it.
Well, very shortly on the track we'll have the men's 1500 meters. This is Anna Piatik from the triple jump. Currently down in 6th place. Into the final round of the triple jump now. Piatik. One of quite a lot of Russians that are here actually. And we were talking about the European Championships starting, Tim. Now that's a bit better from Piatik. Obviously in just a few days' time. It's surprising there are so many Russians here. I think they've obviously brought many of their athletes straight from the Russian Championships and allowed them to come to compete here on their way to Barcelona. So they are here in depth, which is more than can be said for a lot of the European countries. Piatek. 30.96 in the fourth round. May well have bettered that there.
Just looking at that jump, Steve, she's there it is, 14.43.
That's much better.
There really wasn't a lot of rhythm to that. It was very stabby. She was grabbing at each stage, and I think she's a 15-metre plus jumper, and there aren't too many women in that 15-metre club. That's equivalent to Philip Dawu jumping 17.20, say, Christian Olsen 17.20, something like that. So it's solid, but puts her up into third place, as you say.
Well, I mentioned the huge effort from Sabine earlier on in the competition. Nobody had been over 15 metres so far this year. A huge effort. Really has been in superb form, as I said earlier. World champion, the last two occasions. Sailing out beyond 15 metres, 15.09 in the second round. She's beaten in Shanghai in the first Diamond League event, but since then has been pretty much on top. Absolutely taking the best form into the middle of the season here, and of course without any major championships. With of course many of the Americans here, Sabine from Cuba, means that try and gauge a season around, well, not having to worry about peaking for major championships, trials, etc.
Well, the men's high jump is well underway. Bar currently at 2.22, and Mikhail Anani of France will be the first to attempt this height. There's his card so far. Second time clearance at 2.19 for Anani. Relatively new name on the international scene, but he is a 2.32 jumper. That was a couple of years ago. Recently won the French championships in 2.25. That was a couple of weeks ago now in Valence. Championships made famous by Lemaitre's first ever sub-10 second run.
Well, this triple jump competition pretty much coming to its climax now, and I was talking before about the point scenario, which we left at Sabine and Ripakova, who were pretty much tied. Sabine only had a short lead. Ripakova obviously will slip back down now. Sabine moving ahead, as we see Roric down in 6th place. Not improving on her third round 14.16. Conditions are pretty much superb, to be fair. We've had a slight breeze, but nothing to speak of really. So the men's 1500 next on the track. Ryan Gregson, the young Australian, is having a superb season. A couple of Americans in there. Manzano, who's third at Gateshead. Lopez Lemong. Rami Limo, one of the new Kenyan names. New PB for him this year. Guida has been running particularly well. Watch out for Lalu. Andrew Wheating, new darling of the USA from Oregon. Bernard Lagat, looking to run fast on a track which he loves here. Augustine Chogi, though, will have something to say about that. Nicholas Kemboy has won a couple of these Diamond Leagues. Chiboy and Krumenaka will act as the pacemakers, and they've asked for a very, very fast pace indeed. There they are on the outside. It's Coleman, Kemboy, Chogi. I think they may well start the favourites. I'm not sure Lagat's in the best of 1500 metre form. More of that in a second. Wheating next to him. Lagat does love running here. He was in Morocco a few days ago. 3.36, said he didn't feel great. Lalu, Guida, I mentioned, hasn't been in the best of form, although Manzano ran really well at Gateshead. This young man really impresses me. Australia have got one for the future here. Young Ryan Gregson, just turned 20. An 800 in Italy last week, preparing for this. He knows it's going to be fast, they all do. They've asked for 151 through the first 800, that continuing to 2.33 at the bell. That is really fast. They're looking for something under 3.30, and we haven't seen that for a while. Men's 1500 gets away then. Big ask for the pacemakers to get this right. And Krumenaka, who's been asked to go through the first 800, is stuck in about 8th place at the moment, and we'll have to come all the way around the outside as the other pacemaker, Cheboy, finds his way at the front, and gradually Krummenacker makes his way up there. Chogi's got himself into a good place. The rest of them well bunched behind. I guess, Tim, you've really got to take you either take this by the scruff of the neck, go with the pacemakers and run the risk of blowing up. But I think Chogi thinks he's in the sort of shape to do it. I think Lagat might sit off this a little bit. I'm not sure that he thinks he can go through that fast, and he might hope that those in front come back to him later on.
Well, that's right. I'm just interested in watching the massive figure of Wheating there at the back. Look, 6'5", the young American lad, and back there with him is Lomong, who's been running very well as well. The two Americans right at the back of the field, or pretty much at the back of the field. 151 is quick, 53.81 for the first 400 of a 1500 metres. Way too fast, I have to say. They've probably gone through in about 55 and a half, and I would submit that that's just about perfect. There's still a little bit of clashing and bumping going on there, but about 55 seconds for the first lap of a 1500 metres is quite fast enough, thank you very much. So you're right, Steve. Let's see how Lagat goes. At the moment he's in what, about 5th place?
He is, and he'll be keeping Chogi in his sights. He's the one right behind the two pacemakers. Coleman just in behind, then Lagat, then Kemboy. The big names well to the fore, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone can sit off this and come from the back, the likes of Lalu perhaps. There you can see him just going through the picture. And young Ryan Gregson in a good position as well. Let's see what they go through 800. They asked for 151. It's going to be, if anything, maybe a touch inside that for the front of the field. It's very, very fast indeed. Right on the mark, 151.15. This is very quick, and Chogi looks really comfortable at this pace, sitting behind Cheboy, who's been asked to try and keep it going right through to the bell, but that's an ask in itself.
Well, difficult stage this for Chogi. There he is in 2nd place, behind the second pacemaker Cheboy. He's got to stay right on Cheboy's heels here, try and get a bit of daylight between himself and the rest of them, because he's clearly laying his cards on the table here and making the others chase him hard. You can see several of them beginning to struggle back there. Watch Wheating right at the back there, and the tall figure. I still think he's going to come through. This track is famous for producing massive personal bests for runners down the field. And watch too Gregson, the young Australian, back in about 8th place with almost the ball guy, the shaven head, in about 8th.
Chogi then left in the lead with about a 7-8 metre lead. Coleman is chasing him. Lalu's starting to move through a little bit now. Kemboy just being passed by him. Lagat is a long way distant. Gregson still in the group, and the tall figure of Wheating at the back of that chasing pack. But look at Chogi. He's turning through the gears here. Lalu trying to move up and move through. But it's all about one man. Lalu, the only one who looks as though he might get close to it. Kiplagat coming through into 3rd place as well. 200 metres to go. This is going to be super fast if he can maintain it. But Lalu's giving chase and is closing him down slowly, inexorably. Now rather more quickly. Chogi looks as though he's gone. Chogi is blown up, which we said might be the case. He wasn't in the shape to go with that. Lalu now with only Kiplagat as a challenge. Lalu stretching away. Kiplagat trying to get there on the inside. This could be a shot win. It's going to be Kiplagat who's going to get there. Watch the clock. It's under 3:30, 3:29.27. Goodness me. A surprise win for Silas Kiplagat. You would not have put his name anywhere near the top of the list. Now he's top of the world. First man to run under 3:30 this year. He goes onto the world all-time list, just behind William Church here at number 10. Well. The big names are all there, Tim. And Chogi, we said, if you go with the pace, you've got to be confident about your shape, and he couldn't handle it. He couldn't go with it.
Well, there were shades of Lashinda Dimas there, weren't they? Just went out maybe a little bit too hard, and it all crumpled in the last 10% of the race. I'll tell you what though, Lalu, I didn't think he was going to be caught. He looked superb going down the back straight and around that final bend. Where did Silas Kiplagat find those legs? He's run a personal best there by about 4.5 seconds. He hadn't broken 3:34 before tonight, and look at that, plenty of daylight through on the inside. 3:29, I think that's the quickest time in the world for 2 or 3 years actually. Fabulous running. The place times behind him spectacular. Even though Chogi died so spectacularly, Steve, he's run 3:30.2.
Well, he didn't even win the Kenyan Championships, Kiplagat. He ran well there, he came second a couple of weeks ago. But this, as you said, Tim, in a different class to what we've seen from him before. He's still only 20 years of age, and have Kenya unearthed yet another 1500 metre talent.
Wheating, 3:30.9.
Wow.
Can you believe it? The lad is just destroying his personal best, the young American. He's big too, he's a big, strong young man, and what'll he do with another couple of years of winter training behind him? Well, amidst all the excitement, the field events continue, of course, the excitement on the track, that is. And Janssen in this pole vault, I remember, at 4 meters and 70 now. She's already failed once, only one athlete over, that was Mura. 2 failures now to the American Janssen. At 460 she cleared first time, incidentally, the previous height, equalled her personal best, so she's into new territory here, and psychologically the barriers are almost tangible, never mind about the actual bar itself. Very, very difficult. Recently won in Tangier, that was last Sunday with the 450 vault.
No, this is an event from earlier on, the men's 400 metre hurdles, not in the Diamond League tonight, but it was a great race, so we thought we'd give you the chance to watch it. There's Sean Jackson. That's pretty close in the Diamond League standings, even though tonight wasn't counting for points, of course. Each event only counting for points in 7 of the 14 meets. Jackson was in 4. He had Johnny Dutch second in the world rankings, outside him in 5, and then the Olympic gold medalist Angela Taylor in lane 6. There he is. Just 3 of the big names. We actually had 4 of the top 6 in the world so far this year in this race. Taylor's been picking his races rather carefully, and I think he thought tonight was an opportunity to take on Sean Jackson. Justin Gaiman of the USA, outside Isa Phillips, the tall Jamaican. The man who won here last year in lane 2, Van Zyl, who hasn't been in the best of form so far this year. So Angelo Taylor out there in lane 6, starting very, very quickly indeed. Jackson, as usual, will be trying to chase him down in the latter stages, but he's got a great target outside him. Johnny Dutch in between them. Taylor, at the moment, though, rising by a good 2-3 metres ahead of Sean Jackson, who's going to have to really get his skates on here, because Taylor looks in good form. The strong American out there in lane 6, just checking a little bit over that hurdle. But he's finding his rhythm, he's finding the stride pattern. But here comes Sean Jackson, and Jackson, this is where he's strong, this is where his race starts to come together. Can he overhaul Taylor? They're pretty much stride by stride now. Angelo Taylor still with half a yard, just teetering a little bit there. Jackson right alongside him, it's going to go right to the line. Who's going to win it? Oh, that's so close. Well, well. Maybe Jackson got there, maybe Taylor held on. That will go to the photo finish. But look at the time, certainly for Taylor, that will be his fastest of the year. Not quite for Jackson, but what a race. They've given it to Jackson. And indeed, Tim, the result?
Well, Jackson had the advantage, didn't he, being in lane 4 with Taylor outside, a couple of lanes outside him. He could gauge his effort according to the big American. But all credit to Angelo Taylor. He saved a little bit because Jackson is always strong down the home straight. Taylor battling, look at him punching the air, the head rocking from side to side to try and keep the smaller man at bay. It's a desperately close finish. Both dipping at the line just as well. Sean Jackson, they're dipped Colin Jackson style. Look at the difference between them. Millimetres, that's all.
It was indeed just 1/100th of a second between them. Time went down to 47.78, so it's the season's best for Taylor. Good run as well for Justin Gaiman. Season's best for him in 3rd place. Still digesting that 1500 metres, as I'm sure Prince Albert enjoyed it. He's a big fan of athletics, and not here just to perform the pleasantries. He'll be well wrapped up in what's going on here this evening.
Yeah, Stefan Diagana there, 1997 world champion at 400 metre hurdles, enjoying that 400 hurdles too.
Well, just look at those times there. Look at Ryan Gregson, just 20 years of age, so 3:31.06. He was 5th. Andrew Wheating, a superb new personal best, just outside 3:30. And of course, Bernard Lagat's meant to be the best of the Americans. He's way down in 7th. Just a superb race. As ever, the fast times being delivered in Monaco. We told 1 or 2 of the athletes, Tim, that would happen today, didn't they?
Well, I think it was at breakfast we were chatting to Ryan Gregson. We said, you will run very fast tonight. It just happens meeting after meeting, year after year. Second attempt at 470 then. for Firfanova, the Russian. She has a CV as long as your arm, does Firfanova. Celebrated her 30th birthday 6 days ago. She was world champion back in 2003 in Paris. World indoor champion in 2003 as well. Multiple world record breaker she was too. Here she is, 470, second attempt. Oh, that was close. How frustrating is that? She can smile because she knows she'll get it next time, surely. Second time failure, but it was the height was there without any doubt. I thought she was clear for a minute. Gives a little clasher on the way down, really. Moura has gone clear. Don't forget the Brazilian who leads the Diamond League rankings with 10 points. The Brazilian, the only athlete clear so far at this stage.
Still digesting that 1500. Would that be Simon Doyle's Australian record?
It said area record, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to work out who it was. I think it was Simon Doyle. Might well have been.
Year after year, Steve. There's a sort of magic, isn't there, to the middle distance times.
Well, the men's discus concluded about half an hour ago, and it was probably not the best discus competition we've seen. Remember how good this man threw at Gateshead, setting what was a national record. Malachowski, not so good here today. Saved it his best for the very last round, though, 66.45, and that was his best of the evening. Only good enough for third, though. It was a pretty tight competition, to be fair. Zoltan Kovajo, who's been really saving his best form for all of the Diamond Leagues. He's been very, very consistent. No win tonight. He was close. Third round, his best effort, 66.89. So another 2 points for him. But perhaps not surprisingly, the big Estonian, Gert Kanter, the Olympic champion, former world champion. Second round, I think we thought we were going to get a few big throws here tonight, but it was 67.81 in the second round. That was it, and that proved good enough on the night. Sure, at that point you probably thought it might not, but he comes out on top once more. 67.81 the winning distance, as I said. 4 points again to Gert Kanter, and that will move him up the rankings. He only had 2 points so far. We've still got a few more competitions to go. And just in case you weren't aware, whoa, that was quick. 4-2-1 you get for first, second and third. So there's the totals. As I said, that moves Kanter up towards Kovajo and Malachowski, who is still leading with 14.
Well, the athletes out and ready at the far end of the sprint straight for the next event, the women's 100-metre hurdles, and the world number one, Lolo Jones, goes in lane 5. But what a tough lineup this is. Perdita Felicien, the world champion back in 2003 of Canada, still in very good shape, goes in the lane beside her, lane 4. Ginny Crawford in lane 5, who had to withdraw straight after the gun, really. She just stood up in Lausanne a couple of weeks back. I wonder if she's over those injuries. I can only assume she is. Danielle Carruthers, the American. Bad lane draw this for Danielle, who ran really well in Gateshead a couple of weeks back. She was second there and worked with 12.98. Sally Pearson, well, the Olympic silver medalist in Beijing, the Australian. She's now, she was Sally McClellan. Sensational she was in Beijing, just coming back into form. Delorine Ennis goes in lane 3, the very experienced Jamaican, normally very consistent. She was third in Lausanne, fifth in Gateshead. There's Felicien of Canada. Good form, a season's best in New York back in mid-June. Very powerful too, Felicien, quick out of the blocks. 12.58 she ran in New York. She's world number 4 this year. But this lady, Lolo Jones, well, at the age of 27, she has the world at her feet, really. From very humble beginnings in Des Moines in the USO, she's become world indoor champion, world number 1 outdoors this summer, and a series of big wins in recent weeks, including the US Championships. Ginny Crawford was 4th in those US Championships a month or so back. Her last race was a non-finished one in Lausanne, as I said. Kristina Vukicevic of Norway goes in lane 7. Set a season's best at the European Team Championship in Bergen a month or so back. And then Kelly Wells completes the lineup for the USA. She goes in lane 8. Took second place at the US Championships, where she achieved her season's best. She's a 12.8 athlete, at her best is Wells. But the big names, well, frankly, Felicien in 4, Lolo Jones in 5 for my money. Jones, who is quite some character, has had some spectacular failures, were leading the Olympic final until a couple of flights from home when she crashed into a barrier and crossed the line in 7th place. But she's made amends for that since to some degree. Carruthers in 1, Pearson 2, Ennis 3, Felicien 4, Jones 5, Crawford 6, Vukicevic 7, Wells 8. Well, great start there from Ginny Crawford, third from left. Lolo Jones got a bit of catching to do, but here she comes very smooth, fluent running here from Lolo Jones. This is looking good at the moment. She's going clear, going well McClellan on the far side. That's a comfortable win there. Second place, Daniel Carruthers over in lane 2. And she underlines again what a poor lane draw that was. Difficult to pull third up on that one, but certainly Daniel Carruthers took second place behind that winning time. 12.63 for Lolo Jones. And what a crisp, perfect piece of hurdling that was, sprint hurdling. No errors whatsoever, wasn't fazed by the very quick start of Ginny Crawford to her right in lane 6. Came out of the blocks well herself, had to play catch up for 3 or 4 flights, but then once she got her nose in front, she got further and further away, and she won by a comfortable margin in sprint hurdling terms, Steve, about a metre.
Yeah, Tim, you were right. The 2 best starts came from Ginny Crawford, and in lane 2, actually, the Australian Sally Pearson. And I think she helped drag Danielle Carruthers to what was a good second place for her. It was close between those 2 in lanes 2 and 1. She doesn't panic, Jones. She knows she's in top form. She's been winning these races. She's right in the groove. You know, she's. You see how much she clears these hurdles by. She's so strong and powerful. And when she's into a rhythm, that consistency is there for her. Of course, the big question has always been when she's got to the major championships, the really big major championships, not just indoors, she's faltered. And if she could only reproduce this type of form when it really matters, she'd have some gold medals in her cabinet by now, as we all know. But you can't falter. She does run well in these races, and just closest to the camera, just for a second, it looked as though Carruthers might be pretty close to her. It was 500ths in the end. But it's that start here. She's not always the best out of the blocks. Carruthers next to her, you know, looking a little bit ragged, isn't she? But look at Jones. She's powerful. She's not graceful over the hurdle. She's a big, strong woman, Lolo Jones. Almost deceptive like that. But right over on the far side, a really good battle between Sally Pearson and Danielle Carruthers. But once again, Jones on top.
12.63 for Jones then, Carruthers 12.68, his season's best. Great running from the American. Over in lane 1, Sally Pearson in lane 2 beside her. I called her McClellan, that's her old name. That's her season's best for her too. Great improvement from the Australian, she's coming back. Well, the action continues on the infield, the high jump underway, that pole vault still in full flow. The women's shot is coming to its climax as well.
Well, men's high jump, the bar is at 225, and that's a good clearance there from Michael Hanani, the Frenchman, with his had 3 attempts to actually go clear at 222, so under a little bit of pressure, but responded really well. On that occasion, this time, he's not messing around. First time clearance 225, and to be fair, he'd expect that, although it does equal his season's best. Really, the consistency hasn't been there for a lot of the high jumpers, Tim, across the season. We were remarking on this a week or 2 ago. Just starting to get into some good form, but nobody kind of really dominating at the moment, so the opportunity is there.
Oh, that's exactly right, Steve, and that's a welcome feature of the discipline, I guess. You don't really want predictability, you want big jumps, you want big performances, but you want great clashes as well. And the Frenchman keeping the crowd on the edge of their seats at this near end of the stadium. He was actually 5th at the World Championships last year, Hanani, but I think I said earlier he was relatively unknown, and that's because I haven't seen him a great deal on the commercial circuit this last couple of years, I have to say. The vault now. And well, I'll tell you what, this height 470 really has sorted them out. Rogovska, the world champion, her final attempt coming up. 4 women have dipped out of the competition at this height. Lacey Janssen of the USA, Silke Spiegelberg of Germany, Golubchikova of Russia, and Tachnikova of the Czech Republic, all having 3 shots at this bar, the 470 bar, and failing. Can Rogovska join Mura, who went clear first time, and Feofanova, who did clear at the 3rd attempt. Remember, we saw her 2nd attempt, it was very close. Well, she has cleared it at the third attempt. I think I predicted she would. Thank goodness I was right. But we're down to the Brazilian and the Russian, Mura and Feofanova respectively at this stage. Can Rogovska, the only other athlete who can stay in the competition, join them here? The pole, third attempt. Oh dear, oh dear. No, and that frankly does reflect her recent form. As I said earlier, if you work backwards through recent competitions, 445, 458, 440, 460. She's not had a vintage season by her standards, and it really does open things up for those European Championships next week in Barcelona. I'm sure there'll be great crowds in the Olympic Stadium. But, what will she produce there? Something better than that, so I think it'll take to get amongst the medals. So we're down to 2 then. It's Mura.
Well, we saw this a little earlier, but just to clear up the triple jump, this is Piatek. Remember, we saw her live with her very last jump, finally finding the sort of form which she's shown on a couple of occasions this year, 40-43, which meant that she'd finished in third place. A Russian who has jumped 50 metres way back, well, I say way back, 4 years ago, 2006, when she was in superb form that year. And I think Tim mentioned earlier on, bronze medalist indoors this year. And it's been a bit erratic outdoors though. From Kazakhstan, Rypakova, who has been pushing Savine all season long. They came into this competition level on 10 points each in Diamond League competitions. She was only 10 centimetres behind on the world list this year, so she was probably expecting a close competition tonight. Didn't get it though. Best she could manage in the third round, 14.78. The world indoor champion at that point already knew that she was up against it, because this is what happened in the second round. If you missed it earlier, I said that nobody had gone over 15 metres this year. Savine was the world lead at 14.99, but in the second round, bang, right out there, beyond 15 metres, and she knew it straight away. It was a pretty good series. She had 3 no jumps along with that, but 2 in the 90s, 14.93 and 14.91, where it's that 15.09 which will make the headlines. Rypakova in second, Piatek in third.
Well, a series of world bests this evening, Steve. That 15.09, getting an extra 4 points for Savine. Rypakova on 12 points to the Cubans' lead of 14 overall in the Diamond League standings. But boy, something special in the 1500 metres remaining. That triple jump, as you say. 400 metre hurdles wasn't bad earlier. Lots more to come. So Rogovska then, packing her bags. 5 athletes going out at 4 metres 70. Just 2 left in. Both passing at 4.75, incidentally. Feofanova, who lies in second place on countback, and Mura as well. Back to this high jump, and it's Bednarek.
Well, we mentioned earlier on that the bar was 225. Bednarek, who tied for the bronze medal at the World Championships last year. No. On a little bit of bother now. 2 failures. I'm not sure if he was put off. I was watching him because he was getting ready to jump. There have been some hilarious goings on in the 800 metres, which was out on the track. The athletes were standing next to him. One of the reasons they were standing next to him, Tim, to see he's going to fail it, is that they had them lined up on the 400 staggers. And not one of the 800 athletes said anything, and they were all taking their kit off, ready to start. The out in lane 8 were standing right next to Bednarek, and none of them noticed anything. And thankfully, the starter's marksman has gradually pulled them all back. Otherwise, we might have seen a world record.
Well, Moffat then in this high jump now. He's attempting 225. Oh no, that's his second attempt as well. 6 men have gone clear at 225, so there's plenty more life in that high jump competition. Relatively early stages. The bar will go up to 228 next, but Moffat under a bit of pressure there, the American.
So they nearly got a head start in this 800 metres, but thankfully they've been pulled back the right place. There's the lineup: Balkanaita, Lithuania on the inside, Hinde Heber, fresh from a 1500 national record in Paris the other night, Gemma Simpson for Great Britain in 2, sharing a lane with Bernard Thomas. Then we've got Hashlaf in 3, Alicia Johnson of the USA in 4, Maggie Vesey in 5, Kenya Sinclair and Anna Pearce sharing lane 6, Phoebe Wright in 7, and Puccioni and Kostetskaya on the outside. Well, the Lithuanian there, Egle Balkanaita, just only dipped under 2 minutes recently, but under 4 minutes at 1500 metres. And I know Lisa Dobrisky of Great Britain had a few words to say about that. She's come back from a 2-year ban and was very much welcomed in the Paris crowd. Gemma Simpson, the only British athlete actually here, the team training in Portugal ahead of the European Championships. She shares a lane with Bernard Thomas of Grenada. Halima Hashlaf, what a performance we saw from her in Rome, 158.4. That almost came out of nowhere. Hasn't been quite so impressive since then. Finished second at Gateshead, but this young woman has been very impressive. Great indoor season, won a bronze medal indoors, has been running personal bests right the way through at 800 and indeed 400 this week. Now Maggie Vesey, who ran a big personal best here last year, finally finding some form last week, although still a long way off her 157.8. Anna Pearce, another one just struggling to find her best form, next to Kenya Sinclair, who beat Hashlaf about 4 days ago. And Phoebe Wright, another of the Americans she's having a better year this year. And Kuzma Piccioni and Kostetskaya, the Russian on the outside. Well, they've been asked for a pretty swift 57.5. Chatting to one or two of them today. I think that suits everybody. And Hinde Heber from France, admittedly behind a rather impressive Alminova of Russia, but let's see how she goes over 800 metres tonight. And the start as marksman, just checking in lane 2. Gemma Simpson and Bernard Thomas just been asked to move behind the line, and thankfully they've started on the right line this time. So a very fast pace required, or asked for it if you like. Alicia Johnson right in the middle in the purple, the American who's in lane 4 all by herself, could well be the big threat here. Now the Diamond League has been won by a different athlete in each of its editions so far. It's been included in the Diamond League, the 800 metres. So could we see somebody else come to the fore tonight? So the pacemaker out in front, Alicia Johnson leading the pack in second place.
Well, Steve, we know Alicia Johnson there with a headband is in very, very good form indeed. 157 in her last race puts her in better shape than virtually this entire field, and she leads the pack at the moment, and she's clearly going for it tonight. She's quite heavily built for a middle distance runner, isn't she? Very powerful too, and she's gradually easing clear here and getting away from that pack. Gemma Simpson back in about 8th place at the moment, goes through there in about 57.5 seconds. Pretty much perfect. That's good pacemaking, 56.09.
This is going to be a real test for Alicia Johnson, because she was perhaps half a second quicker than she might have wanted following the pacemaker, but she's still extending down the back straight there. Phoebe Wright, her teammate, trying to get up with her. De Heber right in there as well. Hashlaf trying to make up ground in about 6th place. And then there's a pack of athletes just struggling with this pace. Kenya Sinclair in the yellow just making it 1 or 2 places. But Alicia Johnson will now have it all to herself. 1:27.33, that's quick through 600. Now can they maintain this? Can the American hold on to that lead? She looks really strong at the moment. If anything is going away, Alicia Johnson has a little look up at the screen. She can see that she's got clear air between her and the rest. They're going to give chase, but it's a forlorn chase at the moment, because Alicia Johnson has taken this all to herself. Gemma Simpson finishing quickly in the middle of the pack there, as is Anna Pearce. But Johnson wins this one by a mile. Gemma Simpson in second, Pearce in third. 1:57.35, another world leading time. And this woman is in superb form. Her last 3 races have all been personal bests, and there's another one. Personal best, I said, at 400 as well. Good run from Gemma Simpson. She'll be pleased with that, perhaps with a position. Not so sure about the fact that they were so far behind the American. They were probably expecting, Tim, she was going to come back, and she just never.
Well, thank goodness Alicia Johnson's not going to be in Barcelona next week. The American, of course, will be watching that one, but great running from Gemma Simpson, who was badly booked with a couple of hundred to go. That's a 10-metre win, 1:50. 1:57.34. The time has come up. They're just putting the times up. Gemma Simpson, 1:58.74 in second place. That's a new personal best for Gemma. She was very, very relaxed when we spoke to her earlier. Said training's been going so well up at Font-Romeu. She hasn't had many races, but that looks great. But this young lady, to be fair to her, Alicia Johnson, what a find the Americans have got here. The American champion this year, but you would never have put her up there in the top half dozen or so in the world last season. This year, she's a totally different calibre of athlete. She's taken a strong field there to the cleaners, frankly. Sorry, Steve, you do wonder what more she could do with a bit of racing beside her.
I was just going to be facetious and say she knocked spots off them because you said she took them to the cleaners.
Very good. Sort of.
You know, when at 1:50 to go, you're looking for an athlete to start to collapse, and she was so strong. And if an athlete was still going away when they're out in front, that was good running. That was very, very impressive indeed. And of course, with the likes of Casa Semenya back in the mix, we'll talk about her in a second, as we see Fabiana Mura with her second attempt at 480.
Yeah, Mura. Well, that's her first attempt at 480. It was only her fourth vault of the competition. She does lead. Here she goes. No. Oh, no. And that looked a little laboured, frankly, from the Brazilian. As I mentioned earlier, she's the Diamond League leader. She's the world indoor champion from last March in Doha. And has proven herself to have a good temperament when under pressure. Took a bronze medal at the World Indoors a couple of years ago to back up that recent World Indoor title. But with Sinbayeva off the scene, frankly, the field is clear for any one of 3 or 4 women to grasp this season by the scruff of the neck, and it's Mura that's been doing it for the most part. She leads the Diamond League standings with 10 points to Spiegelberg's 7.
Very early stages of the men's long jump. This is the French athlete Etienne Gomis. Only had one jump so far. That's Tornius from Sweden, who went out at 7.96, so Gomis knows what he's aiming for here. He's only been just over 8 metres this year, 8.9 meters. Let's checking for the board there, a little bit untidy, but has he just gone over 8 meters there? He applauds himself. He can't see those marks across the sand, of course, but he can see the marker board. Second in the national championships, jumped a windy 8.19. It's, as I said, really off balance there, and he's coming in. Gomis. You wouldn't expect to win this. It's a big competition with Saladino, Lapierre and Dwight Phillips here as well. They're all to come. This is the first round. Exactly 8 meters for Gomis. Well, we saw a great men's 1500, and that 800 was impressive. Not from everybody, but certainly the top 2 or 3 there. Alicia Johnson, a new world lead, 1:57.34. Personal best for Gemma Simpson. Superb run for her, 1:58.74. And Anna Pearce, a return to form for her, 1:58.89. So there's the points, so we'll see them in a second. 4, 2, 1. And now Johnson then with a lead. I said that they've all been winning, but that's a second win for Johnson. Johnson now on 8 points. Puts herself in the lead in the race for the diamond.
Fiafanova then. Third attempt at 4.80 meters. Mura's yet to have her third attempt. Oh, no. Well, what that does confirm is that the competition has been won by Fabiana Mura of Brazil. The Russian, unable to give herself a belated 30th birthday present with a clearance there, which frankly I think would have won the competition. Mura's not looked too convincing in her 2 efforts so far at this height. The biggest vault in the world this year, 4.89 by Jenny Sur of the USA. Mura herself has cleared 4.85.
Back in the high jump, Mikhail Hanani, 2.28. Well, he had that first time clearance at 2.25 we saw earlier on, but not looking so hot there. And that event, there are nobody clear at that height yet.
There we have the lineup for the men's 400 meters. And you will notice no Jeremy Warner, who's won 4 out of the 5 Diamond League races so far in this discipline, which does make it a very open race. Well, to watch Jermaine Gonzalez, the Jamaican, in lane 5. He was very, very impressive indeed in Saint-Denis in Paris a week ago. Ran a personal best there of 44.63 to finish in second place behind Jeremy Warner. The American has headed home for a bit of hard training to try and improve his form for later in the season. I did read he's only got a couple of races left, but it does open it up. Kevin Borley in lane 3, the Belgian there. Watch him, his brother Jonathan running a new Belgian record in Paris last week in fine fettle.
Well, that race in the second or so, this could be the culmination of the pole vault competition. Mura, who leads the competition because this is the only height she's actually failed at, came in at 450, cleared that, cleared 460 and 470 all at the first attempt, passed at 475, put the pressure on Fiafanova, who, as we've just seen, has now had 3 failures at this height. 480, third attempt then for the Brazilian. Competition is won. Can she go clear? That's better, that's much better, yes! You could see on the way up, she had the high point in exactly the right place, as Tim was explaining earlier on, and 480 cleared at the third attempt, and she cleared that with a room to spare as well, so I suspect we're going to see her go higher here, and why not? That's an excellent clearance, look at that. That's better.
She actually looks shocked, I think, Steve, that she's gone over it so well.
You tell on the way up, Tim, you know, she was you can often tell when they're almost halfway through, but of course if you nick it on the way down, but she certainly had the height there.
Well, David Neville goes in lane 1, the Olympic bronze medalist in 2008, but his recent form has been very, very moderate. 5th in Lausanne and 8th in Paris last week in 45.8. In this 400 metres, Chris Brown goes in lane 2, the Bahamian, who was world indoor champion earlier on this year. His first race in 4 weeks in Nassau last week was a 45.7. Kevin Borley goes in lane 3. As I mentioned, the Belgian, one of 2 twins, a 22-year-old. Really been inspired by his brother's run last week. In lane 4, Gerald Betters of the USA in very good form. A season's best in Lausanne a couple of weeks ago. He was second in the US Championships. Then Jermaine Gonzalez. He's a huge lad. 1.90 m, makes him about 6'3", 6'3.5", the Jamaican. Probably the pre-race favourite in lane 5 then. Ricardo Chambers, another Jamaican, goes in lane 6 just outside him. He too in great form, a season's best and very close to his personal best at Gateshead 12 days ago. Greg Nixon in lane 7. Well, 6th in Paris last week in 45.8, which frankly doesn't cut the mustard at this level. And then Rennie Quo of Trinidad in lane 8. He too, I have to say, in relatively poor form. I get the impression that with a lot of the Caribbean athletes and the North Americans themselves, without a major championship this year, the USA athletes that is, there's a little bit of wavering in some disciplines for good numbers of elite athletes who perhaps are feeling that they can take a fallow year. I'm not sure, but this event hasn't really come alive yet this year. Warner leads the world rankings, but we do have the world number 2, 3 and 4 in this race. That lineup again: David Neville in 1, Brown in 2, Borley in 3 for Belgium, Betters in 4, Gonzalez the favourite in 5, Chambers 6, Nixon 7, Rennie Quo in lane 8. Gonzalez in 5 in the blue, huge figure. Well, away without any problems, and gone off very quickly is Ricardo Chambers in 6th there in the yellow. It's already made up the ground, and Greg Nixon to the left of picture. He's blasted the first 150, has Ricardo Chambers. Also going well, there was Gonzalez in the blue there, centre of picture. He's making up ground on Chambers, and Chambers has gone off quickly. So look at Gonzalez here. He flies through halfway. He's got a good lead here. Inside him, Gerald Betters is going pretty well, but he's really pumping hard here with 150 to run. He's committed enormously here as Jermaine Gonzalez. The Jamaican has taken this race to the rest of them. He's chased Chambers hard. Chambers must be surprised that he's got someone in front of him. He's gone that hard. But this is a great battle. These two committed early, and they're hanging on well. Gonzalez all the way by a metre from Chambers. Third there over on the far side, I think, was Chris Brown. That's a good return to form from Brown, even though he was some way down. 44.40, the fastest time in the world this year. This track is so quick. It's recently been resurfaced, we know that, and it's worked wonders, hasn't it? It's just taken the season up another notch, really, from all the great Diamond League meetings we've seen so far. That's a wonderful, wonderful run from Jermaine Gonzalez for Jamaica. It's a national record as well as the fastest time in the world this year. It's confirmed at 44.40. And I'll tell you what, shades of Andrew Wheating there, a big, powerful man in great shape, defeating some smaller guys who are also running well.
Well, I know in Jamaica they've known about this young man for quite a long time. He's a big pal of Usain Bolt's. And finally, perhaps, he's starting to take it seriously. He doesn't have the best of actions. He's got that weak right arm. If you watch it, it kind of hangs out there a little bit. But he was driving hard here. And you have to feel sorry for Ricardo Chambers. The two Jamaicans almost locked together at the top of the home straight. And they've both run personal best. But the new national record goes to Jermaine Gonzalez. And he looks as though he's just getting quicker and quicker. And of course he's pushed Warner close on one or two occasions. The next time the two of them meet, just watch out, because this man is getting better almost with every race. He's a bit rough around the edges at time, and there's a lot of edges there. He's a big fella.
Wow, what a run. And Jeremy Warner, if he needed any spur to give him some real impetus and training this next 10 or 12 days before Stockholm, I think he's just got it. If he'll have watched that one, he'll certainly see the result. Fabulous stuff from Gonzalez. It's coming at us from all directions here in Stade Louis II.
Well, a few moments ago we saw Fabiana Miura clear 480. She'd already won the competition, but on a third attempt cleared 480 and has now asked for the bar to be put up to 4 meters and 90. And the significance of that is that were she to clear it, it would put her top of the world list this year, because Jen Shure from the United States, as Tim said earlier on, has cleared 489. So, can she move from second to number one in the world? She's already number one here tonight. World indoor champion. She won in Rome, won in Eugene. Only 4:58 required to win in Eugene. It was 4:61 in Gateshead, was beaten on that occasion. Ivanova, who's had the second tonight, so positions reversed. So 490 to go top of the world list this year. First attempt. No. Well, she's got two more, obviously. She's keeping the crowd royally entertained. Actually, I can say that. Connor Prince Albert's here. I meant the crowd on the top bend.
Oh, yeah. You keep trying, don't you? Jermaine Gonzalez, the fastest time in the world this year with that win. 44.40 for the young Jamaican. His teammate Ricardo Chambers, a good second there with a personal best. And Chris Brown making it a 1-2-3 for the Caribbean there. 45.05 in third. And the point allocations in the Diamond League, 4-2-1, of course, for first, second and third respectively. And overall, it stands this way. Jeremy Warner way out in front with 16 points, virtually uncatchable. Gonzalez in second with 8, Neville in third.
Well, not so long ago in the men's long jump, we said we were in the early stages, but this is what happened. Dwight Phillips, bang! First round, it's a huge jump from Dwight Phillips, and he knows it. On occasion, this year he's been putting us some pressure. Lapierre, the Australian, will come here tonight off the back of an 840. Well, here's your answer. Right in the first round. Longest jump in the world this year from Dwight Phillips, 846. Following win, just 0.1 meters per second. And this competition has got off to a cracking start. Lapierre, by contrast, 723. Well over a meter behind. Didn't see Lapierre's jump, no doubt something went wrong with that, but there you go. We could be in for a cracker there.
Well, Hanani now in this high jump competition. The crowd loving it. Good to have local interest. He's lying down in 7th place at the moment. He's had 2 failures at 2:28. 3 men have gone clear, incidentally. Jesse Williams, Andrei Silnov, and Ivan Ukov. So the American just staying ahead of that Russian duo. But Hanani here could elevate himself to 4th place. He's under real pressure. 3rd attempt, 2:28. No. And it wasn't close, frankly. The season's best 2:25, already equal tonight by the Frenchman. That was a first-time clearance, incidentally, but out he goes. 3 other men, too, have 2 failures at this height, so some more pressure being applied with the big 3 out in front, having cleared it first time. Williams, Silnov, Ukov.
It's tough watching, isn't it? Starless for the women's 100 metres. Carrie Russell from Jamaica, the youngster, in lane 1. Sharon Simpson, Jamaica, in 2. Kellyanne Baptiste, Trinidad, in 3. Veronica Campbell-Brown of Jamaica in 4. Carmelita Jetta, USA, in 5. Shalonda Solomon, USA, in 6. Blessing Okabare of Nigeria in 7. And Debbie Ferguson McKenzie of the Bahamas in lane 8. The Carmelita Jetta, you saw the diamond against her name, has the most points, but can she hold off Veronica Campbell-Brown here tonight? This is one of the big head-to-heads. There's Carrie Russell, just 19 years of age, another new Jamaican star in the offing. Sharon Simpson, silver medalist in Beijing. Season's best came at Gateshead. Kellyanne Baptiste, 10.84, a new personal best this year, in superb form. But what about Veronica Campbell-Brown? Great race in Eugene. She ran 10.78, the fastest in the world this year. She's been fighting off Felix in the 200, but has been superb in the 100. But so is Carmelita Jetta. It'll be really interesting to see the 2 of them against each other here. Jetta, who finished 2009 in such superb form, running 10.64. She's run 10.83 this year. Shalonda Solomon in lane 6. Another to have run under 10 seconds in a year that's been superb for women's sprinting. Well, she's normally a long jumper. That's not going so well this year. 6.91 at her best, but she's running well over the 100 of Kakbari. And then Debbie Ferguson McKenzie, the veteran, I guess, is a not too unkind a way of describing Debbie Ferguson McKenzie. Long, successful career, and it's been a very successful career for Campbell-Brown. 2 Olympic gold medals, of course, over 200 metres. The 100-metre world champion back in 2007. Jetta, who's yet to win a major title, has the fast times to a name. No titles this year, but of course this race to the Diamond League is one which they all want to win. Jetta's got 13 points, but this is an event which Campbell-Brown has not run that often yet. She's in 4, Jetta's in 5. They get away, Campbell-Brown perhaps with a better start, but Jetta into her running well, also going well. Okabari got a very good start, and now Carmelita Jetta just starting to pull away. Campbell-Brown not going with this. Carmelita Jetta's going to win by a metre or 2. 10.82. Superb performance from Jetta. No question there about who's on top tonight in Monaco. 0.4, a slight following wind. That was good. She got a good start. Campbell-Brown was with her for the first 5 metres. Seemed to almost falter a little bit, the Jamaican, but not Jetta. Really picked up well out of her start, and then just kept going away, if anything. Her best of the year so far. Goodness me, there's nothing the others could do, Tim. Campbell-Brown not even close.
Well, I thought Okabare got a flyer there, second for left, but Campbell-Brown was playing catch-up, wasn't she? She's the 200-metre specialist, remember, 4th from right. I thought she'd come back at her from halfway onwards, but she didn't. If anything, Jetta went further and further away, and there's a mark of a 100-metre sprinter really on top of their game. Wonderful running from Jetta to keep the Jamaican at bay. Don't let's forget that Campbell-Brown has run 10.78 this year. She's the fastest in the world this year. But Jetta there has beaten her very, very comprehensively, I have to say. Lovely, lovely high knee action there from Jetta, driving hard. Campbell-Brown out of her range of vision now, and she's going further and further away, and that doesn't happen too often to a 200-metre specialist of the calibre of Campbell-Brown. It really does underline how special that performance was by the American Jetta.
Yeah, I remember reading, Tim, I think during the winter, Jetta was talking about the work that she'd undergone to kind of change her whole demeanour, the stuff she was doing in the gym, etc., and that almost kind of prancing style she has when she's strong, can hold it together like that, does look superb. And Jetta tonight, well, the others weren't even close, whether Campbell Brown can argue about the start, but to be honest, you're absolutely right, Jetta was just kept going away. So another super fast time over 100 metres as we move to the javelin.
Barbara Spatakova, of course, the Czech world record holder with 72 metres. This year, 68.5 metres her best. Tonight there she is 65.76 in the second round. That does lead. Now, what can she do here? That is fantastic. That is the replay of her second round throw, despite that caption we saw just now. 65.76 to lead. She's passing her third round effort and she's holding her elbow there, and that's clearly an indication not all is right for the Czech.
Third round in the men's long jump. Gomis of France currently in fourth place. You saw him jump 8 metres in the first round, that ragged style again, collapsing off to his right. And that's certainly not going to improve his position. Phillips leading with 8.46. Shaline is second with 8.07, and Saladino 8.06, and then Gomez here 8 metres. So it hasn't really got going yet. Lapierre with a no jump in the second round, and Sediri as well may well have a problem. The other, the better French long jumper, because he jumped 6.41 in the first round, is passed in the second round. So it may well be that Sediri, I'll try and keep an eye on that for you, he may well have a problem. But 7.71 for Gomis, stays in fourth.
Well, if anything, the wind has picked up a little bit here in the stadium. There's the 100-metre runners just looking at a replay of their race and just getting the times that coming up through, I think. But that's nice, isn't it? It's like a training session. You can see a replay.
I'm not sure exactly, but I think that's Veronica Campbell-Brown's about 73rd time she's run under 11 seconds. It's well over 70, but it wasn't good enough tonight. 10.82 Carmelita Jetta. Kellyanne Baptiste just got the third spot ahead of Sharon Simpson. There's the points. And, well, Carmelita Jetta looks pretty much in an unassailable lead, I would suggest. I'll let Tim do the maths. Might still be possible. Well, not the way she's running, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, it sounds to me like you're the statistician tonight, Steve. You should be doing the maths, frankly. 73rd time under 11 seconds.
It might be 74th, don't quote me.
You come out with some gems, don't you? The wind's picked up a little bit. You can see the flags at the top right of picture there at the far end of the stadium, just blowing a little bit more. Now, over to this women's shot put, and I can tell you that the distances tonight, as usual, 20 metres being broached. In third place, Kononenko Miknevich of Belarus. In the second round, producing her best effort. In fact, she only had 2 valid throws in the whole series, did the Belarusian Miknevich, and here tonight, producing 19 metres 43. That's good enough for third place. Despite being the Olympic and world champion, though, Valerie Villi, and that is not Miknevich, I can assure you that's the New Zealander, Valerie Villi. She's the Olympic and world champion, but she had to settle for second spot once again here in Monte Carlo. Putting well in the opening round, the 20 metres 20 was her best, but she was beaten just marginally by Ostapchuk, who is very much in charge of things at the moment. The world champion in 2005, the Belarusian, now in her 30th year, 20 metres 23. She just shaded the New Zealander once again tonight to take victory.
Rybakov, no. 2.31 the bar now. Nobody's gone clear yet. That's first time failure for Rybakov, who took 3 attempts to get over 2.38. Just 4 men left in the competition at the moment. Jesse Williams, and then the 3 Russians, Silnov, Ukov, and Rybakov. And this is the man who will be heading to the European Championships. They have an embarrassment of riches, the Russians, and he will be there. But we'll want to be making sure he's more consistent over 2.30. Pretty sure more to come from him, though, but nobody clear so far.
Well, the men's 800 metres, we've already had the fastest time in the world, over 2 laps in the ladies' version. There's the lineup. Mbuleni Malautsi of South Africa in very good form. He has lane 4 to himself in this pretty big field, frankly. He is the world champion, of course, Malautsi, and rounding into shape. Mr. Consistent, I'd like to call him. Several of these other athletes in great form. none more so than Abubakar Kaki Kamis there, the young Sudanese, who is out in lane 7 on his own. He's won his last 3 races. His last loss was to Rudisha in Oslo. This is Bilal Mansour Ali, who was 7th in the Olympic 1500 metres. He's raced very, very little this year as Ali, but he is a 144 man at best. Jackson Kivuna and Abraham Kiplagat, both of Kenya, both 144, 145 standard runners. Then in lane 3, Boaz Lalang and David Torrance of the USA. There's Malautsi, very powerful, the South African, world champion from last summer in a wonderful piece of tactical racing. Just controlled the race, led the whole way from gun to tape, just accelerated throughout the race, kept winding it up, and they couldn't get back to him in Berlin. Nick Simmons goes in lane 5, the American, also in very good form. A season's best in Paris 6 days ago. He won the US title a month back and a 144.9 last week in the Stade de France. He'll put up a good performance here tonight. Police Ed is a Monegasque there to the right of picture in the red. Big cheer for him. He was 3rd in the French Championships recently, although his season's best 148.5. He shares a lane with Jeff Lastenay, who was 2nd in the French Championships. This is the pre-race favourite though, Abubakar Kami. We shouldn't read too much into that after the demise of Dimas in the 400 hurdles and 1 or 2 others tonight. And the pacemaker Davis Robinson of the USA goes out in lane 8. The target time for him at halfway, 49.2. It's quick. Kaki, always confident, always aggressive. Clear world number 2 at the moment behind Rudisha. So is it Kaki against the clock? Away they go, very slow out of his blocks there. Malautsi just easing into his running. He lost a couple of metres on half of them. Outside him in the green, Nick Simmons, who is always a strong finisher as well. But Lautsi gets into his running now. Davis Robinson down the back straight has started quickly. 49.2 is really swift. If Kaki stays right in his heels, he'll go through in around 49.5, 49.7, and that will lay it down nicely for a very, very quick time and a glorious evening here. The flags have just settled down almost to stillness as they go round the top bend there, and you know it's quick when you see that after 250 metres. Single file with this strong lineup. Kaki, the world number 2, in 2nd place. The world champion Malautsi in 3rd place. Lalang there in 4th in the blue and yellow.
Well, it's good to see that Kaki has at least gone with the pace this time, which he didn't on 1 or 2 other occasions that he's asked for. 49.4, that's super fast. Malautsi right there with him. We could be in for a real classic here. Malautsi versus Kaki, and Kaki's got to be brave and really go for it down the back straight, otherwise he could come under real pressure in the home straight from Malautsi.
My reading of this race, Steve, was that Kaki would do exactly this. Go out hard, work hard, although he's grimacing there with almost 300 to run. And Malautsi's challenge was to try and stay in contact. I think if Malautsi is there with 100 to go, this next 100 metres is critical around the bend. If the South African in blue is with him with 100 to go, I think Malautsi could have him, but he's beginning to open up a bit of daylight. Look at this, really aggressive running from young Kaki. In 3rd place, Lalang's not spent yet. They're all there, they're queuing up. Simmons isn't far back and he's in 6th, 5th or 6th. Now they come into the straight. Kaki kicks again from the front as he did last week in Paris. Malautsi's trying to get back, but he's still a metre down. Lalang coming through, he's not going to get there. It's a great win for Kaki, 143.11. Still way off the 141 performance from Rudisha a couple of weeks back, but nonetheless a great run from Kaki. He's winning. That's his 4th straight victory, and he's doing it from the front. You have to say it's brave running from the youngster, but at the moment I know he's ambitious and keen to get down to the 142, 141 territory currently inhabited by Rudisha, but at the moment there's this sort of ghost of Rudisha hovering over every arena where he races, and unfortunately Kaki's falling short. 143.10, a fabulous time, but Rudisha would have been 10 or 12 metres down the track. It was a great race nonetheless.
Well, it was, and they were coming from behind to attack him, and I love to see an athlete hold off the attacks. However, I would say that this was not the best we've seen from Kaki, and I think he has got little chance of really pushing Rudisha on this sort of form. You're right, Tim, 300 to go. He looked as though he's already working hard, but he's got guts, the young man, and he fought hard. You can see how much he's fighting for this. Look at him compared to Malautsi, who always looks kind of serene, but he can't get there. He must have thought, top of the home straight, I've got you here, I've got you tonight. But he's strong, not only in the body, but strong in the mind as well. So well done, Kaki. Sometimes you just have to dig a little bit deep when it doesn't come so easily. He's a hugely talented athlete. Tonight he just had to work a little harder than he might have expected. Lalang probably just getting up on the line to beat Malozzi. Was very close. We'll clear that up in just a second. Kavuna was finishing quickly as well, but can't wait to see Kaki race against Rhodesia again, although I suspect unless he gets a little better, Rhodesia will come out on top.
Ukov then, the mystery man of Russian high jumping. He's a real entertainer, is Ukov. That at 2:31 as a first-time clearance. Fabulous jumping from Ukov. The Russian champion had a hiccup at 2:25. He came in at 2:15, which is a little surprising. Several other athletes passed that opening height. He's attempted every height and he goes clear at 2:31, and that's big. He's already got the competition won prior to this jump. Wow. Superb stuff from Ukov, who marches on his merry way towards Barcelona. I'm not sure you get very good odds against him next week.
Well, women's javelin, we were saying we're struggling a little bit earlier on, and it's into the 5th round. Hamilstottir, not quite sure why we saw that, because she's struggling well below 60 metres and continues to do so. You saw with that. What a great race in that 800 though, and that's what the Diamond League's been meant to be about, hasn't it? Good head-to-heads. Malozzi is a great champion. Kaki is the new man, isn't he? Didn't perform well at the major championships last year too. He's still young, still learning. We've got Rhodesia as well, who's picking his races, getting closer and closer to the world record of Wilson Kipketer. Let's hope we see Rhodesia and Kaki. I think they're scheduled to run against each other in Stockholm, I think, Tim, last I heard. Look forward to that.
Kaki Kamis winning in 1:43.10 here tonight. Laleng 1:43.29, exactly the same time as Mulautsi's season's best. The South African world champion having a great run, but in 3rd in this very, very competitive event. And the place time's not bad either, frankly, as you can see. The first 5 men under 1:44. Personal best for Torrance.
I'm sure that's a season's best for Bryce Etes of Monaco.
You should know.
Oh, they've done him a
calling you
disservice.
Stato, you know. Cram the Stato.
Well, it's good to see somebody from Monaco in the meet.
It is. I think they're probably the only one here tonight.
Absolutely.
Next event on the track is the 110-metre hurdles.
This is just bringing you up to date with what happened in the pole vault, and that's not right. I apologise for the caption, because nobody ever in the history, as far as I'm aware, has ever vaulted 57 metres in 18. However, Lacey Jansen did clear 4:60, an American, equaling her personal best with a first-time clearance. And was looking good at that point. And then Svetlana Fiafanova, who's had a couple of good battles with Mura this season. After starting the competition well, had 3 attempts at 470, got over on her 3rd attempt. Unfortunately was not able to go higher. She passed at 475 because Mura had had no failures up until that point. It was to no avail though. She couldn't get over 480, but Mura was able to.
She was indeed, yes, Mura in great form. Unfortunately in the vertical jumps you always finish on a failure, but a 3rd time clearance at 480 gave her victory here tonight. Actually, she won by 2 clear heights, both she and Fiafanova passing at 475. The Russian, remember, 2nd place, who cleared 470 at the 3rd attempt. But that for Mura, 3rd time clearance at 480, giving her the win. She had 3 attempts at 4 metres 90. None of those very convincing, it has to be said. That would have, if she had done it, would have elevated her to the 3rd place on the all-time list, ahead of Fiafanova of all people. Tonight, though, she had to settle for 1 place ahead of the Russian with that victory. 480 to Mura, 470 to Fiafanova. Janssen equaling her personal best for 3rd. And the points, 4-2-1 for the first 3, 14, 6 and 2. Mura way out ahead, 14 points overall to Spiegelberg's 7.
Well, now to one of the most eagerly awaited events of the evening. The men's 110-metre hurdles. Jason Richardson of USA in 1, Garfield Darien, France in 2, Dwight Thomas of Jamaica in 3, Ryan Wilson, USA 4, David Oliver, USA 5, Joel Brown, USA 6, Svoboda of the Czech Republic in 7, and Dimitri Bascu of France in lane 8. There's Jason Richardson, ran a season's best at Gateshead. It's only 13:46 though. That won't trouble the scorers tonight. I'm pretty sure Garfield Darien, former European Junior champion back in 2005. Dwight Thomas, Jamaican in 3, often part of their relay team. This is Ryan Wilson, second in the American Championships. And then this man, David Oliver. Can he break the world record here tonight? He's been getting faster and faster all season long. 12:89 in Paris the other night. His training partner, Joel Brown, alongside him in lane 6. It's really, though, all about David Oliver tonight. No Dayron Robles. This is Svoboda, one of the best Europeans. Will be going for a medal in Barcelona next week. Ran a national record just recently. Dimitri Bascu of France, the French champion in lane 8. Well, as I said, he's got a couple of pals in the race here, Dwight Thomas and Joel Brown, training with Oliver, and I was reading his blog the other day and he was saying how much he enjoys warming up with him. He likes them in the race, and he also said another thing: I'm ready to run the world record. I know I can do it now. I know it's within me. The race in Paris was by no means perfect. He did crash through some of the hurdles. He's a big, powerful, strong hurdler, David Oliver. Maybe he gets a clear run through here. In perfect conditions. We've had a slight following wind for most of the sprint races, and the crowd know that they could be in for something special here. The world record held by Dayron Robles, 12.87. Oliver third on the all-time list. Only Lu Zhang has gone quicker, 12.88. Oliver the other night, 12.89. Robles, all the suggestions he's supposed to be injured, but the suggestions are he's avoiding this man, and who can blame him? So Oliver's in lane 5, Ryan Wilson perhaps his biggest threat next to him in lane 4.
Alright.
Oh, not the best start from Oliver. He's going to have some work to do now, but going well and starting to come through. Ryan Wilson's right along next to him, with David Oliver starting to hit some hurdles as well. And now he starts to come away, clattering that one as well. He's going to win this. I doubt it's going to be so fast. Oliver wins in 13.02. Well, right from the first 2-3 strides, we knew it wasn't going to be the vintage Oliver that we've seen on so many occasions already this year. And by his standards, his current standards, that was almost a poor run. I know he's been very, very happy with the victory. He's a great guy. He's been great for the sport this year as well. I think he's a fantastic character. It is the fastest we've seen in this meeting. A new meeting record, rounded down to 13.01. No world record. He's going to have to wait for that, and he's going to have to work hard for it. It won't come easily.
It's a very unforgiving event. He got a dreadful start. There he is, fourth from left, David Oliver. He really had to work hard to get back to Joel Brown beside him, actually, third from left there. And he was hitting barriers hard, but he's a big, powerful man. He can afford to hit them with his trail leg and keep the momentum going, keep the rhythm going. But it was an untidy one by his standards, Steve. I think you're right. He really was playing catch-up from the word go. He was sitting back in the blocks. He really didn't start well at all. And it was a difficult one for him to run 13.01 off a dreadful start like that. Technically, he's a very, very proficient man. He's a former American footballer, huge fella compared with an awful lot of them, and he can afford to clip those barriers and keep going strongly. But David Oliver there giving away a lot of ground, frankly, from the gun, and not technically the best of races for him either. Looks very, very tight, doesn't he? Works hard for the line. He's got great speed between the barriers. Good dip too to round it off. It is a meeting record by a big chunk. It was 13.06, the old meeting record. That belonged to one Dayron Robles, incidentally, who's absent again and again with Oliver in this sort of form. One or two people saying just how badly injured is Dayron Robles. We can only take what we hear from the Cuban camp, that he's struggling with a niggle. But tonight, I think, might have found Oliver a little bit vulnerable, although it would have taken a sub-13 second run to beat him.
And you know, I always say this in athletics: if you think you're the world's number one, and Robles, you know, arguably, you know, is injured, but you know, we've been told he's not so injured. So, you know, race, yeah, and you find out, don't you? And you can do something about it. Meeting record 13.01. Wilson with another good second place. Thomas with the season's best. Another good run from Svoboda, very consistent. He could well be, well, he is Europe's number one in terms of times. He'll head to Barcelona perhaps as a lukewarm favourite. He's finding some consistency there, but the points go to Oliver, Wilson and Thomas. So Robles finds that Oliver is way, way ahead. 16 points now to the American.
Well, Ukov it is again. Ivan Ukov of Russia, the world indoor champion this year, the European indoor champion last year in Turin. Can he become the continental champion in a few days' time? This is he at 2:34. Goes clear first time. Has the competition in the bag. That from Ukov. Wonderful, wonderful jumping. Just to put it in context, that's the highest jump in the world this year. Dusty Jonas topped the world rankings prior to that clearance, the American, who tonight could do no better than 5th. And Ukov goes from height to height, rubbing salt into the wounds of not only the Americans, but some men who will be expecting to challenge for gold next week in Barcelona, including Rybakov, who's finished down in 4th place tonight. And Nani, the Frenchman, 7th place. Just one failure to his card. That was at 2:25, as you can see. But look at that, 28 first time, 31 first time, 34 first time, in the highest jump this year for Ukov. Perfect timing, perfect peaking, with the championships less than a week away.
Well, this was Cara Patterson in the 5th round of the javelin. The competition led, of course, by Spitakova. So in the 2nd round, 65-76. It's yet really to get going, the javelin. Well, that was better from the American. She struggled to get over 60 meters in the first 3 rounds. 4th round was 62-39. And then this one, moving her up into 2nd place, was 64-21. Patterson, the American champion, who's been in superb form, has thrown over 66 this year. That was more like it. That's why we got the smiles. And we're into the final round. And that one, at the moment anyway, looking as though it's gone Spitakova's way. Just caught the end of Dwight Phillips there, Tim.
We did, yes, and Phillips, of course, leading with that 8:46 in the 1st round. The next best behind him is Pavel Shalin of Russia with 8:15 in the 3rd round. That's Phillips' 4th jump. We almost saw. Kantel Salim's Diri is out of the competition, 6:40 in his first jump, 6:41, and then 3 no jumps. So he's obviously throwing the towel in. Saladino, incidentally, Irving Saladino, only 8:06 so far in the 1st round, followed by 3 no jumps. Fabrice Lapierre really struggling, the Australian down in 7th place, 7:84 in round 4. It's a strange old comp with the grand old man Dwight Phillips, totally dominant in the long jump.
Well, Ukov, the world indoor champion, the European indoor champion, and is doing it outdoors here tonight. This is already cleared a world leading 2:34. He's put it up another 2 centimeters. 24-year-old. This would be a new personal best. He cleared 2:35 last year outdoors. Here he goes, Ukov. Oh, that's a great attempt. Now, that will give him some encouragement. That wasn't too far away. 2 more attempts to come. And finally, men's high jumping beginning to get going in 2010.
Well, over on the far side of the track, they're just about ready for this discipline. The men's 200 metres, half a lap to sprint. No Usain Bolt here tonight, no Walter Dix, but we do have Tyson Gay in lane 5. And the American, of course, the 2007 world champion, the silver medalist last year over 100 metres in Berlin. Returning to great form. Good win over Asafa Powell in Gateshead 2 weeks ago. That was over 100. This is probably his better event, actually, Tyson Gay. Aaron Armstrong goes in lane 1. Hasn't raced since May, the Trinidadian. He's 32 years old now, but he took an Olympic silver medal in the sprint relay in Beijing. Ainsley Waugh for Jamaica goes lane 2. His first race for a couple of weeks. He's been in reasonable form. 20.4 for 5th in Lausanne was his last contest. Sean Crawford goes in lane 3. The Olympic champion back in 2004. He's 32 years old now, but still in pretty good shape. 6th in Lausanne in 20.6 2 weeks ago. Xavier Carter, well, 3rd in Lausanne in 20.1. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, he was only 3rd in the American Championships though, Carter, but that's a good lane draw, lane 4, and he's inside this man, Tyson Gay. 2nd quickest man in the history of 100 metres. In Gateshead 13 days ago, he beat Asafa Powell in 9.93 into a headwind. Lost to Dix in Prefontaine meeting 3 weeks ago, but Dix not here. More of that in a minute. There's Ryan Bailey, the American, only a youngster, 20.3 in Nuoro last week. Then Wallace Spearman, silver medalist in the World Championships last year in Berlin, and 3 years ago in Osaka. He's the American champion too, as Spearman. Watch him in 7. I don't think he'd be too happy with that lane draw, frankly. And then Johan Blake in lane 8. 3rd in Paris a week ago. He's only 19 years old, Blake, the Jamaican, and that's not a great lane draw for him either. He's 9.95 he ran in Paris, behind Usain Bolt and Asafa Powell. And this is season debut over 200 metres. That's Blake in 8, Spearman in 7, both of whom I think might run better than their lane draw suggests here. Gay there goes in lane 5, very much the favourite. The line-up from the inside again: Armstrong in 1, Waugh in 2, Crawford in 3, Carter 4, Gay in 5, Bailey goes in 6, then Spearman in 7, and on the outside in yellow, Johan Blake of Jamaica, just 19 years old. Gay in red, centre of picture. Well, quite a big twitch from Carter there in lane 4, but they get away, and that's a great start from Gay. Great bend, he's run 2, he's way up on Bailey, he's past Bailey, he's really gone for it here. That's a tremendously aggressive bend from Tyson Gay into the straight. The others are way back now. It's a battle for 2nd place, but look at Tyson Gay, watch the clock, this is very fast. Great running outside him there from young Johan Blake. 1973, it's another meeting record, but what a run from Johan Blake. I said that was a lousy lane draw for the youngster. He'll have gone under 20 seconds. He wasn't far down. So a meeting record for Tyson Gay after a very, very aggressive bend. I wonder, in fact, whether or not he didn't give too much in that first 100. I think maybe he misjudged it. They were coming back at him, and he's normally so strong down the straight. You shouldn't have a 19-year-old coming back at you like that when you're a former world champion. And Gay, while he's returning to full fitness, Steve, maybe just hasn't raced enough at this sort of level to get that racing brain absolutely perfect. I think he was too quick in the first 100.
I think you're right, and you know how you can tell. And if Michael Johnson was sitting here, he'd probably explain this much better than I could. But just watch his transition as he comes out. He's right in the outside of his lane. His momentum takes him right the way out there. That's not a good transition into the home straight. And he attacked that bend so much, put so much into it. He then had nothing left for the latter part of the race. It's coming under pressure from Blake. And it's good to see Gay in this sort of form, though. The belief is there. When Bolt's not here, he's starting to think, right, I'm going to really attack this. No problems with the hamstring anymore, freely running, but watch this. He's tired now, and the legs are just starting to buckle a little bit, and Blake is coming, and he's coming fast. He's not going to quite get there. There was only a few hundredths in it in the end. A big step forward for the young Jamaican. 19.78, a new personal best for him. Season's best for Tyson Gay as well. Better run from Wallace Spearman also. But this bend, the first 50, 60 metres was scintillating. This was him running 100 metres, and there was a little grimace there. Did you see? I was suddenly worried for a bit. There was a grimace in the face, then it kind of relaxes again. But look how wide he is on that bend coming into the home straight.
And Steve, at this level, you're talking about such minute, such tiny adjustments, aren't you, to getting it right. The spread of your energies over the 200. You cannot sprint it flat out, and he more or less tried to tonight. I mean, he wasn't holding back much at all that first 100, the first 120. If for somebody had said to him, sprint the first bend as hard as you can, I don't think he'd have been any quicker. Gay then, winning in 19.72, a meeting record ahead of the Johan Blake's first 200 of the year. Wonderful personal best for the young Jamaican. Spearman in 3rd, as Steve said, under 20 seconds as well. And there it is, 4-2-1, Gay, Blake, Spearman tonight. And in the overall Diamond League standings, Walter Dix still leads. couldn't agree a fee here tonight. We understand Dix, he was due to be running until yesterday. That's a shame. He still leads from Gay.
Well, men's long jump continues, still being led by, of course, Dwight Phillips with that well-leading 8:46. And how many performances have we seen tonight which are the best in the world this year? Shalin, the Russian, in second place, long way behind 8:15. A real tussle for the minor places. He's just 6 centimeters ahead of Irving Saladino. And then Gomes still sitting in fourth place with his 8 meters from the first round. Here's Shalin then. No. And one or two athletes really not performing well. We mentioned Sidiri. He picked up an injury, the Frenchman, early on. Lapierre of Australia has been really poor by his standards. 7.98 he improved to in the fifth round, but he jumped 8.40 last week. Nowhere near that today. I can't remember the last time I saw Tyson Gay run in red. It's a bit... you get used to it, seeing athletes in certain strips, and a different one for Tyson Gay tonight. At least not all wearing the same as usual. But he is in superb form. But at this point, you know, he hits the track so hard, Gay, doesn't he? And I think in the 200, of course, they haven't run such a bend. And if you start to run out of energy, you run out of it pretty quick. I mean, he held it together. He's trying to hold form now more than anything else. He is coming under pressure. He's probably aware of it. Just almost a little turn of the head there at that point. But you can see how hard he's having to work here. This isn't the graceful running that you sometimes get from the likes of Bolt. It's all power from Gay, driving down through that track.
Well, Phillips then in this long jump. Fifth attempt here. 8.46 in round 1. 8.31 in round 4. Each of those way better than the next jumper. And that looks pretty good too. He's got such good speed. What a shame, just over the board there and into the plasticine. He's only had 2 valid jumps now from 5 efforts. He was the 8.46, the big one came in round 1. No jump in round 2, passed round 3, then an 8.31, and now this no jump. Although frankly it was way out there, 8.30, 8.40 territory again. So he's operating at a level that tonight is just way beyond the rest of this field.
Well, it might have even been 8.50. Well, not the best javelin competition tonight. And I was mentioning earlier on that Spatakova very early on had kind of set her stall out. Nobody really getting close. Viljoen, best attempt came in the 4th round. Never went beyond 60 meters. South African 59.93 her best. It's not always the best place, I'm not sure, for javelin throwing. Cara Patterson was struggling as well the first 3 rounds. Started to get it together. Her best throw came in the 5th round. We saw it a little while earlier. American champion, 64.21. Been setting personal bests this year, having a really good season. New American record of 66.67. She was quite happy with 64.21. Well, Spatakova will head off to the European Championships, knowing that gold medal is well, certainly up for grabs. Bukama, the Russian, is throwing 68.89 this year. Nowhere near that tonight for Spatakova, but she does have consistency, and you should never write her off when she gets to major competition.
Well, there's a confirmation of that win for Spatakova. 65.76 from Patterson. The only 2 athletes over 60 meters tonight, the South African Viljoen, 59.93. And in the Diamond League point standings, Bosalkova leading with 12 to Patterson's 8. Viljoen on 7. Spatakova comfortably out in front, more than those points would suggest.
How many meeting records? No, not meeting records. World leads have we had tonight, Tim? I've lost count.
We've had about 6 or 7 world leads. I'm counting the... sorry, we've had about 4 or 5 world leads. I'm just working on it, Steve.
Thank you. Last event on the track, women's 3,000 metres. Saw the names there of certainly Jamal, who has been running well, the former world champion 1,500 metres. Sylvia Kibet, and probably Ejigu will start, the Ethiopian will start as the favourite here. Kibet, the silver medalist of the World Championships over 5,000 metres last year, but it's been Ejigu who has been the best of the Ethiopians. And a great 5,000 metres in Paris the other night. More of that as we look along the start line. Just not quite ready yet. They've asked for a pretty good pace in this women's 3K. They're aiming for somewhere around 8:30. We haven't really seen too many fast. In fact, there's only been really one fast 3K all year. That was in Lausanne. So I'm just trying to count them there. Of the top 12 times in the world this year, 11 of them were set in the race in Lausanne, which Chariot won from Bekele, and then Defar Ejigu was fourth on that occasion, 8:37.20. There's Jamal, who, as I said, has really been struggling with her form. Having a go at 3,000, I've seen her run 800, 1,500. Just have a quick look at Kibet. Chinonge's in there as well. Kenyan who is having a decent season.
Well, back to this men's long jump competition, and he was really struggling with Fabrice Lapierre. Couldn't broach 8 metres through the first 5 rounds. Here he goes in lanes in round 6. Dwight Phillips, remember, way out in front with 8:46. That just about unassailable, but the Australian just pulling something out of the bag to go well beyond 8 metres, and that 6th round effort from Fabrice Lapierre, elevating him from 7th place to 2nd place. 8 metres 18 for Fabrice Lapierre to salvage something from what was, by his standards, a pretty disappointing competition, frankly. World indoor champion from last March, going out to 8:18 and giving a shade of respectability to his card, but well beaten by Dwight Phillips in the long jump.
Yes, too little too late there for Lapierre, but at least it was some respectability. So to the women's 3,000 metres then. Away they go, 7.5 laps of the track. You can see there the meeting record, 8:21.42, and that was a great race. I was here that night in 2002 as Jarbo, Paula Radcliffe, Edith Massai, the 3 of them within about a second or so of each other. Wonderful race, 8 years ago now. So what are we in store for tonight? Well, the field perhaps not quite as loaded. Yet to see the likes of Tunesh Dibaba really push herself out there. Chariot won that big 5,000 metres in the Paris Diamond League the other night, defeating Ejigu, who, as I said earlier, I think will certainly start as the favourite here. They've asked for laps of around 68 seconds, somewhere between 68 and 69. Erin Donoghue, the American, has been asked to lead them out for a couple of laps at that pace, as much as she can. And we'll wait to see whether they follow her. And it's really what they do when the pacemakers drop out, whether somebody really wants to pick it up and take it on. Oddly enough, Jamal has got herself close to the front early on. Lisa's in 2nd place. Well, the clock didn't stop there, but it was around about that which was asked for. You can see already though, pacemaker Donoghue is stretching away. She's trying to run the times, and the others don't look that interested. A little bit of pushing and shoving a little further back down the field.
Yeah, it's always frustrating, isn't it, Steve, when a pacemaker does a good job and has to keep glancing around and only to see a 5 or 10 metre gap behind her. You can see Donoghue here as he's back a little bit, but they're not really running aggressively. Jamal's form has been rather hit and miss in recent weeks. 68 seconds that lap. Well, that's not bad. It's about 8:30, 8:32 pace, so it's solid, but it's not going to set the world alight. If they can maintain it, then they will come home in a very quick time, but one just gets the feel that there aren't too many of them up for it.
Well, at least Donoghue's kind of having a look around and is checking what's happening behind her. She's not just blindly running off. She can see that the others are perhaps... Is that Dwight Phillips just pulling up there alongside?
It is. He hurt his groin in Gateshead a couple of weeks back, and it looked to me like Dwight Phillips there with his final round effort, just pulling off the runway early.
Well, Renata Plies will be asked to pick it up once Donoghue drops out, but at the moment, I'm not convinced that the likes of Ejigu, and Chinonge, you can see, is moving up, and Belletta are really that interested in going as fast as the organisers might have hoped. Donohue's not doing anything wrong. She's, you know, as I said, doing a good job. She's running at the front, keeping close enough to them. She keeps pushing it on a little bit. And 69.41 for that lap there. So, you know, if they keep out at reasonable pace, then we get a last couple of laps here. Who knows, they can go pretty quick. This is Gomez, Tim.
It is indeed, yes, Gomez here in this long jump competition. This is sixth and final effort, a big one. The Frenchman salvaging again something from a series which begun with an 8-metre jump, then was very, very modest, I have to say, for the 4 following rounds. In the 6th and final round, Gomez of France, Cafetian Gomez, going out to 8 metres 11. He would eventually finish in just 4th place, but it gave some respectability to what was through to halfway and beyond, looking rather moderate, that contest, apart from Dwight Phillips, who was in a spanking shape. There's the Frenchman coming down at 8-metre 11, even though he sat back on it a bit. And in the high jump, well, we know who the winner was. Great jumping tonight from Ukov. The man who took 3rd place here tonight, though, was Andrei Silnov, the Russian. There's his card, up to 2:28. He was absolutely superb. Not selected for the European Championships. He was 4th in the national championship. On countback was Silnov. He's the Olympic champion from Beijing. That's his 2:28 clearance at the first time of asking. He had a couple of shots at 2:31 and then one failure at 2:34, but he finished in 3rd place. Jesse Williams of the USA managed to split the Russians tonight. Williams 5th at the World Indoor Championships earlier on this year. Has never really performed to his potential in a major outdoor championships. He is the US champion this year. He too cleared 2:28 first time. That was his best effort. He shared 2nd place actually with Silnov, just checking the card. Rybakov down in 4th. So it was a 1-2-4 for the Russians tonight. And this the man right out in front, and by some margin, frankly, too. The world indoor champion this year. He's had a wonderful build-up to these European Championships next week. 2:30 in Moscow back in June, 2:33 in Lausanne. It's here tonight, 2:34, the biggest jump in the world this year. First time, too. Great composure from Ukov, who was infamous 2 or 3 years back for turning up at the Lausanne meeting for the high jump competition there. Slightly worse for wear, I think he'd been in the bar. Anyway, there we are, 2:34 for Ukov to beat Silnov, Williams and Rybakov. Some big names behind him, they're all on 2:28. Raoul Spank and Annie, they might yet feature next week. The top Europeans turning out, of course, in Barcelona in 6 days of intense action next week.
Well, things really hotting up in the 3,000 metres. Some great pacemaking. Donohue picked it up, and then Police took it on for another lap and a half, and they hit 2,000 in 5:41. And if they can only keep this going, now what's all of a sudden happened is they've slowed down again. Ejigu with Belletta on her shoulder, looks as though she wants to push on, and Shannon Robury and Jamal, particularly Robury having a good race here. Jamal coming back to some sort of form. Robury looks really comfortable. The American, look at her there, just in 4th place, looking as though she's really relaxed. Kabewat trying to get close to this group, and Quebec a little further back. But these 4 looking as though it's between them. Mimi Belletta from Bahrain, closest to the camera in the purple and the black, with Shannon Robury again coming on her shoulder. Robury looks as though she really wants to push on, and sometimes if you feel that good, she knows there's a big personal best in the offing here for Shannon Robury. Believe it or not, she's only run 9 minutes and 3. She's going to absolutely obliterate that. They're heading for something around 8:30 here. This is great running from the American. Just outside 4 minutes, a personal best at 1,500. She set a new personal best for 800 a couple of weeks ago. And now, Ejigu of Ethiopia, Belletta from Bahrain, and Jamal having to hang on to the American as they come to the bell.
Well, 4 of the minute, and it's pretty quick. 7:25 at the bell, and Robury with that new PR from 800 metres Great running at 1500 metres. Might yet have the beating of the Africans here. There's a real wave of enthusiasm and confidence in American long distance running, both men's and women's scene, and Robury very much part of that. Wouldn't it be great to see her here really take the Africans to the line?
Bronze medalist in 1500 of the World Championships is there in the front row, just losing it to Ejigu, the former world champion at 1500 metres. Can she kick and get past the little Ethiopian? Have they got the speed? Have they got the strength? Ejigu, though, the diminutive figure from Ethiopia, kicks away. She's looking really strong. Robury's not giving it up, and Jamal trying to fight on. It's going to be a super fast time. The quickest in the world this year was set in Lausanne by Cheriot when she won their 8:34. Ejigu looks up at the screen, sees she's clear. It's all about the clock now for the Ethiopian. Striding away, Jamal trying to close her down. She's not going to get there, not going to get close. Ejigu well under 8:30, a superb run, 8:28. Jamal in second place, Robury third, Belete fourth. That is another world's fastest time. A big personal best for this Ethiopian, who is giving her more famous compatriots something to think about. She's been beating Melkamu, and I suspect that Dibaba wouldn't fancy racing against her just now. Another win in the Diamond League circuit for Sentayehu Ejigu. Great run, 8:28. Look how comfortable she looks. She thought she might have come under some pressure, Tim, from the 1500 metre specialist. But that's strength, that, isn't it? That's not speed, that's strength.
Well, I was going to say, she didn't really kick hard with 200 to go. She just wound it up around that bend, and all credit to her, because her top speed, once she got into the straight, really was quite impressive. I mean, Jamal, don't let's forget, has run way under 4 minutes 1500 metres. She's a former world champion at 1500 metres, and yet here she just can't get back to Ejigu. It was a strength run, the fastest time in the world this year, 8:28.41, and there have been quite a few here tonight. I'm just looking, Steve, there have been 7 world-leading performances this evening, both on the track and in the field. Ukov in the high jump, the triple jump, Savigny 15:09, the long jump, Dwight Phillips 8:46. Just one discipline to another. There's been marvellous performances here in Monte Carlo.
Well, that was a great race to finish off on. We've seen some cracking distance races tonight, but lots going on in the field as well. We'll clear up the long jump in just a second, and we'll give you the full result. There's been a host of personal bests behind this young lady. Ejigu was just superb again.
Well, in the long jump here tonight, it was a competition, as we've mentioned, totally dominated by Dwight Phillips. But nonetheless, it was a solid evening for the likes of this young man, Pavel Shalin, 8:15, coming in the third round. He had 2 efforts over 8 metres. He had an 8:07 in the second round. And from Shalin, well, we might yet see more. He's an 8:25 jumper this year, Russian champion in 2010. And Barcelona beckons. Second place, snatched from the Russian, though, at the 11th hour, as we saw a few minutes ago. Fabrice Lapierre of Australia. By his standards, a pretty awful meeting tonight. Couldn't break 8 metres until the 6th and final round. That one for the world indoor champion, though, in round 6, coming down at 8:18 for second place. Just 3 centimetres ahead of Shalin, the Russian. No, little shake of the head there. Says it all for the Australian. But Phillips, well, maybe he destroyed their desire in the early stages. In the very first round, the big American came out with a monstrous jump, the longest jump in the world this year. Maximum Diamond League points earned there and then in round 1 with 8:46 from the big American showman. The Olympic champion of 2004, 6 years later, still dominant. And his series, despite having only 2 valid efforts, was dominant. 8:31 in round 4 for Dwight Phillips. Would have won again very comfortably from Lapierre's 8:18, but 8:46 in round 1 sealed it up. And points-wise for Dwight Phillips with that convincing victory over the Australian Lapierre and the Russian Shalin, with Gomi of France and Saladino also over 8 metres. Of course, 4 points for the winner, 2 for second, 1 for third in all Diamond League disciplines. There it is, 4-2-1. Phillips leading with 12 to Lapierre's 11. Tonight was fairly significant. Saladino in third with 7 points.
Well, that's pretty much it in terms of the action. It's been another wonderful night here in the Stade Louis II Stadium. Finishing off with yet another world lead in that women's 3000 for Ejegu. Jamal, 8:29.2, great run from her. Shannon Robury, huge personal best. And look at all those behind her. Belete, Kibet, Miriuki, Olegira, all running personal best behind her. Great race. What a run by the American there in third place. So, once more, this track, newly laid, has been superb tonight. So many world leads. So Alicia Johnson in the 800, Kiplagat running under it, 3:30 in the 1500, Gonzalez in the 400, of course, Gay in the 200, Savine jumped 15 meters 09. We saw Phillips's great long jump as well. It's been a wonderful, wonderful night. There are all of the winners. Pick out your best performance of the night. It's hard. I'm always biased towards the 1500. It was a surprise one, perhaps the biggest surprise, I think, Silas Kiplagat winning that 1500 meters in 3:29.27, putting him into the world's top 10 ever 1500 meter runners. There's the points as they stand at the moment. No Walter Dix tonight. Pity he wasn't here, but I think Gay might have got the better of him. Jetta leading in the 100 meters. Some of them were into the 16, 17 points. Looking good for the diamond race in their events now. Well, that's it just for the time being, because everybody will, or the European athletes will head off to Barcelona, of course, in the European Championships, which start in a few days' time. But then we'll rejoin for the Samsung Diamond League in Stockholm after Barcelona, and then it will be London, Zurich, concluding, of course, in Brussels in right at the end of August. August the 6th, though, our next Diamond League in Stockholm. From me, Steve Cram, and from Tim Hutchings, we bid you a warm farewell from a wonderful night here in Monte Carlo.